Darren Morowitz is talking about Cosplay, a Nerd Odyssey. Darren's presentation is about combining his creative side with his nerd side to construct costumes. These are based upon comic book characters he's come to know and love.
It's a bird. It's a plane. Nope, just me, Darren. And I am an unashamed, unapologetic nerd. But I'm not just any kind of nerd. I'm a cosplay nerd. But what does that mean exactly? Well, cosplay is basically where you dress up as your favorite character from pop culture. Maybe movies, TV, or in my case, comic books. And as you can see, there are thousands and thousands of people that do this all across the world at different events, and with quite a variety of characters. Now, most people make their costumes, and the skill can range from professional to, shall we say, amateurish, which you'll see here, between these two very different Iron Men. But we cosplayers try not to judge one another too harshly, because we know how difficult it can be, even though that's pretty bad. Now, what are my nerd credentials exactly? Well, like I said earlier, I'm a comic book nerd, pretty much have been my entire life. This is most of my collection here. At the core of it, I have about 400 comics with another couple hundred trade paperbacks, which if you don't know what those are, you can ask me after the presentation. Now, my love of comics actually gave way to my other passion, which is fine art. I know, strange. I'm a trained painter and I'm an art teacher at the high school, which some of my students are here. Sorry to embarrass you. This is one of my pieces. And I grew up with my mom doing arts and crafts, and she made all my Halloween costumes. So the leaf didn't, or the apple didn't fall far from the tree. But my very first costume actually started just as an artistic challenge. I was reading my X-Men comics one evening and Zorn here popped up and I thought, his helmet looks pretty cool. I wonder how I'd actually make that. So a couple YouTube videos and a trip to Hobby Lobby later, started my own. Now the first iteration didn't go quite as planned. I'd bought a styrofoam head from Hobby Lobby. And that first picture there, got that far, tried it on, did not fit me whatsoever. So I got my cousin over, his head's about the size of mine, and using duct tape and spray expanding foam, basically made my own styrofoam head, so helmets would actually fit me. But from there, I used paper to create my templates, constructed it out of craft foam, glued it together with rubber cement. I was off and running. The top of the helmet is actually just various plumbing parts, and the eyes are made from sunglasses. It's amazing what you can find to use and be inspired by just by wandering around a hardware store. So after I was done with it, I was like, well, what the heck do I do with it now? And the Smallville Comic Con was just a couple weeks away, and I thought, well, I'll make the rest of the costume and actually wear it. And it was such a great experience. I just felt like a celebrity. People want to take pictures with you. They ask you all these questions. I just felt like one of the popular nerds. So after I was done with that one, I was like, well, what do I do for the next one? I want to do something a little more challenging. So I went with the Ant-Man helmet, and it turned out okay. Unfortunately, I don't have a picture of the final piece. But then for some reason, I left it in my truck, and the heat pretty much just annihilated it. So that one's no longer with us. Rest in peace. But for my next one, I wanted to get ready for the next Comic-Con. I was pretty much addicted now. Wanted to do a full suit. Star Wars, my favorite movies of all time, I know, typical nerd. Boba Fett here is one of my favorite characters, and he's a fairly popular character for people to make, so I thought there might be templates online, and there were. So I printed those off, started constructing it from cardboard this time, and started using spackling paste in order to create a smooth surface, just several layers, and then sand it, makes it pretty smooth. Had this helmet done and painted. As soon as I tried it on, I noticed it fit kind of funny, then figured out I glued the dome top of the helmet completely wrong, so I had to remake the entire helmet. And I actually had the whole suit about 50% done, but the quality of it just wasn't really where I wanted it to be. So I pretty much just scrapped the whole thing and called it an expensive learning experience. But Comic-Con was then just a couple months away, and so I had to pick a character whose costume wasn't quite as complex. I've been a Dr. Fate fan for a while, and obviously his suit's not quite as difficult. But he's a good example of a comic costume not translating to the real world. Sometimes, mostly his oversized belt or whatever that is, I just saw that and thought, how the heck does he pick stuff up from the ground? Like, how does he bend over? So I kind of took some artistic liberty with that. But the process for each piece is basically the same. I construct it from cardboard, glue it with hot glue, and then use the spackling paste if I need to smooth it out, and then prime it and paint it. And those are actually just golf gloves that I spray painted gold. Once I have all the pieces, some of them I glue onto a sweatshirt and sweatpants. Just makes it easier to take off and on. There's the whole set together. I also often get asked how much a costume costs. I don't really know. I just buy this stuff when I need to, which can be detrimental to my bank account at the end of the month. We don't go there. This is the character I'm currently working on. Green Lantern's my favorite comic of all time, hands down. Shirt right here. Yeah. Represent. And I wanted to do just a crazy costume. And this is Green Lantern Stell, who's a sentient robot. And actually, you can see his suit's pretty nuts. And as far as I know, nobody's ever made this character before. I can't find anybody who has. So I have to completely make it up as I go, create my own templates, just figure it out one piece at a time. I've gone back to using craft foam, just decided it's easier to work with for me. I've also started using Plasti Dip, which is a spray plastic. So after I construct the piece and before I paint it, I'll spray it with the Plasti Dip. It just makes everything a little more durable and takes more wear and tear. And those are just various parts like the gloves. And those are like golf gloves, I think, that I'm putting pieces on. And starting the boots. The boots have been the most difficult. The blue bowl is actually like a blue cereal bowl. It's the center part of my chest piece, what you see. Just willing to use anything and everything for the costumes. I have the whole suit about 90% done. I'm hoping to get it done for Comic-Con in Kansas City here in the middle of August. But if you or anyone you know is interested in doing this, if you're a nerd, there's lots of info online, lots of helpful videos to get people started, and it's so much fun. But thank you for your time. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a universe to pretend to save.